What's up, Middle Georgia Dog Pound? Welcome to another edition of the Middle Georgia Dog Pound Live. I'm your host, Brian. It's Kevin, Matt. What's up, guys?
What's up, buddy?
Good evening.
Glad to have you guys. So excited for another show. National champions, baby. National champions. Hard to believe it's only been 3 weeks, right? But we are still celebrating, and Kevin and I got to go to the Natty Parade. Got our photo taken several times. Ended up in the video. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go to georgiadogs.com. You'll be able to watch the Natty Parade and all the highlights, and get to see me and old Kevin in the parade there on the side holding our Natty flag. So good times, good times. Well, a few housekeeping things here, guys. As you guys know, if this is your first time on the show, we want to get your comments to show us your face, your logo, and your name. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook to give permission for StreamYard to show your comment on the screen. We'd love to have you comment on the show. And we also have email, middlegeorgiadogpound@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, if you want to be our sponsor, we'd love to take your money. We'll show your little your logo at the top of the screen. If you have a product or a business that you want to promote, we'd love to have you on as our sponsor. So I want to get into a few things here, guys. Talk a little bit about what's transpired since we won the Natty and the big changes in the program. First and foremost, got a few hires here. Jordan Barber. Don't know much about him. He's a new associate strength and conditioning coach that's come in to help out with our strength and conditioning program. And, of course, everyone knows Mike Bobo is coming in from Auburn as the OC. Before that, he was over at South Carolina, and before that, he was the Colorado head coach. And before that, he was Georgia's OC for many, many years. I think from 2007 to 2014, and before that, he was with the program. Of course, he was quarterback for Georgia for years, and glad to have him back in the fold. Of course, from what I understand, he's dealing with some health issues and need to take a little bit of a break from the grind of the daily recruiting and whatnot. And obviously his son was recruited to this 2022 class, and he's going to be there, be able to watch his son play some football. And he's got three other boys, I believe, that are triplets. If you guys didn't know that, a little trivia there for you about old Mike Bobo. But he has a set of triplets that also play football, so it'll be interesting to see where they end up as they grow up here. But the one I'm most excited about is Brian McClendon. Brian McClendon was wide receivers coach for us for years under Mark Richt. Heck of a recruiter. Well renowned. If we couldn't get this guy, I was really pulling for Hines Ward or Terrence Edwards. But obviously, this Brian McClendon, comes with more accolades than anybody else that we could have hired, and so it was a good hire. Before we come on the show, we were talking about the number one junior wide receiver for the 2023 class. It was just mind blown that Georgia pulled him out of Miami, and so. Brian McClendon has a lot of pull, a lot of kids that he's recruiting, and like I said, he is well respected in the wide receiver world, and looking forward to see what he can bring in our 2023 class, because, boy, we sure do need some lockdown receivers. But so right before we come on the show, this is our new defensive outside linebackers coach. His name is, I was concentrating on pronouncing his name correctly, Chidera Uzo-Diribe. He is out of TCU. He was actually he's at SMU. And before that, he was with Kansas for a couple years, and then before that, he was outside linebackers grad assistant with Colorado. So I'm certain that Mike Bobo had some huge accolades, and recommend bringing him in. So that's where we should see the formal announcement the next day or so with Mr. Toribe. Well, guys, what do you think about those hires?
I think they're pretty good hires. I went back and looked at your Jordan Barber just to get a little history on him. He's a 2016 Townsend graduate and held the same position at Temple University in 17 and 18 before going and joining the Hurricanes with this same position. It says Barber will work under Georgia's Scott Sinclair, who was hired in 2016 as the director of strength and conditioning.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sam
so
Whitley. Oh, go ahead.
No,
I was just going to hit some comments because if I don't, I'll forget them. Sam Whitley says, "Love the BMAC hire." Yeah, I totally agree, Sam. John Morgan, what's up, John? John is here in the house. What were you going to say,
Yes.
Matt?
Yeah, so I'm the same way. I'm really down with the excited about McClendon. Like, he played wide receiver at Georgia. They did the running backs coach as well, so he's got a good foothold for recruiting in the state, which is what we need. And so, just to keep that going, because that's how we're going to build our teams for the future is through our recruiting. So I'm excited about him. I love Mike Bobo. I'm the one of those few fans who actually really appreciated what he did for our offense when he was the offensive coordinator. If we would have had the defenses that we have last few years under his offensive coordinator, guidance, I think we probably would have been in closer to some national champions, because I really thought that he did some really good offensive play calling back in the day.
Yeah, totally agree. I think
Most definitely.
he got a bad rap for the end of the game decisions, and you can't chalk up someone's entire career to one play. So
Yes.
things just don't fall your way, and then you suck because that one play didn't turn out like you wanted it to. So
Yeah,
totally agree with you.
Yeah, having Bobo back is definitely a good thing. You got to think back. This is the guy who had brought in Matthew Stafford and gosh, drawing on a blank, number 11.
Aaron Murray.
Aaron Murray, thank
Yeah.
you. Drew a total blank there. But, yeah, he's the one who brought in those two guys, and can't argue with their results.
I
No,
agree.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, let's transition into these recruits. What do you say?
Let's do it.
National Signing Day. Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of spots for National Signing Day, but we did pick up 5 recruits, and so then we ended up with some good ones. Of course, we had already picked up all these guys here, and I had them on a prior slide. Barry Alexander, 4-star defensive lineman. Lou Bob, 4-star offensive lineman. And of course, there's Drew Bobo there, who we're talking about. That's Mike Bobo's son. Oscar Delp, 4-star tight end. Dalen Everett, 5-star quarterback. Jacob Hood, offensive lineman. Julian Humphrey, Marvin Jones Jr., Deniala Morsitz, wide receiver, going to be really good. Branson Robinson, we're going to talk about him more in the show. Jaheim Singletary, C.J. Smith, another great high-speed, lights-out receiver. Cole Spear, another good receiver that was underrated. Malachi Starks, Gunnar Stockton, of course, the highly rated quarterback out of Tiger, Georgia. He's going to be great for us. He's the future of our program. Corey Thomas, Brett Thorson, Jalen Walker, C.J. Washington, Sean Washington, and Michael Williams, which are going to feature a little bit more on the show. We'll talk about him a little bit more. But let's get into the ones we raked in yesterday. So yesterday we had this recruiting cycle 2022 recruit class, we raked in 5 5-stars. 15 4-stars, and 9 3-stars. And I know we had a little bit of a debate on the site this week about our 3-stars, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that and give Mr. Matt an opportunity to weigh in, because me and Kevin weighed in on this one yesterday a good bit. But Matt, what's your thought process on these 3-stars?
So for me, for 3-stars, first of all, we look at recruiting in general across the board. There are so many different sites and different composites that bring their own rankings together. So in one site, somebody could be a 3-star, in one other site, they're a 4-star. So if we're looking only at this star next to their name versus what they've actually been productive in school and what they played against, that's where we're really missing out on these. We get too hung up in these star ratings. Because I mean, even the coaches will tell you when they get to the field, when they get on the first day of practice, they don't have stars anymore. It's about productivity and what they can do for the team. And so I think some of these things are in all these different companies who put these rankings together are all kind of flawed in itself. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're on point. There are 5-stars who are awesome from the first day of practice to their last day playing the game and to their first round draft picks. That happens for sure. You know what I mean? But then then you have guys who don't go to all these camps in the summertime, who don't get all the exposure, and then they don't get their stars. And so that's just kind of how that stuff works sometimes. So we can't be so much keen on the stars. And one of the guys you're going to talk about later today is one of the running backs we got later yesterday. That came in the thing that Joker, he's a 3-star running back out of Texas, but this guy had almost 3,000 rushing yards in one season. That's incredible. I don't care if you're playing against peewee football players. I mean, you put almost 3,000 yards rushing. I think it was like 2,800 yards. Then he adds in another 400 yards receiving. This Joker is really good, and he's built just like Nick Chubb. And so for us who love him, who love Nick Chubb and love what he did, this guy's going to bring that same kind of element, just like the other guy we have, Bronson coming in. Same thing. These guys are built to fit our scheme that we have available. And you guys have noticed out there, the running backs that we have, our running backs are catching the ball a lot more than they ever have in the past, which is a really good thing, because that makes us defenses have to play them, not just play us and try to run down, but also got to play those passing games as well. How many times on those wheel routes did we see Cook run out there and catch these 40-yard bombs? These wheel routes and stuff. They have to account for that. So don't sleep on all these 3-stars. We have so many 3-stars out there who officially 3-stars who have been incredible for us. We have walk-ons who have been incredible for us. Don't get tied up in that stuff. That's ridiculous. Just talk about running backs. So we had a 2-star commitment to us. Ty Crowder. Everybody remembers Ty Crowder, the inside linebacker we had. The Joker was a 2-star running back that we stole from Georgia Southern on the last day. And then he was there for a couple of years, running back, never saw the field. When Kirby came in, transferred over to middle linebacker, and the Joker was a star for us at linebacker. Ended up getting drafted and is now playing in the NFL. I mean, so these people who get tied up in all the everything are really missing the boat on what productivity people are, what they can be. Some people are coming out of systems that are spread systems, and that they're not getting as much exposure. I mean, that's what I've been saying. If you think about Georgia Tech's, one of the Georgia Tech's best wide receivers out there, everybody's always wondered, their Tech receiver is not very good. Well, they have these spread systems. Come to Georgia Tech and they catch these balls that are ridiculous. I mean, it's incredible. So people get tied into what these numbers and these systems are telling them, opposed to what the coaches are seeing. They're seeing live. They're watching more film than you. We need to trust that they're doing those great things. So do not sleep on any of our players. We got them for a reason. We shouldn't be sad that we got players. These guys want to play for our school. They want to be a part of our family and our team. I don't give a crap if it's a 1-star with one leg. We better support that Joker all day long until he decides to transfer. Just being honest with you. So I don't want to see any more of this stupid negativity out there saying, well, we didn't get enough. We got too many 3-stars. Those 3-stars may be 4-stars.
Yep.
And we may have 5-stars who may be 2-stars. Who gives a crap about these stars?
We hit on all the 3-stars that have really have produced for us. I mean, you think about Eric Stokes, Jordan Davis. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. That these 3 stars that have performed and are in the NFL now. When nobody gave them the time of day coming out of high school, and one kid that I was thinking about that was really highly recruited, and I'm not banging on the guy, but the linebacker out of Vidalia, and his name's slipping my mind now, but he was highly recruited the same time that same year that Fromm was recruited, and he didn't even see the field. I mean, he had offers from Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Auburn, and he came to Georgia and never saw the field. So, just because you got a 4-star or 5-star beside you doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to pan out. So,
yeah, we've had legendary of 5 stars not working out. This is how it is, because those guys, once again, they go to all these camps. They look great. They look great on film, and they watch the film, and they're in these single A classifications, so they're not playing better talent. They look like rock stars, and when they get to Georgia, they're playing guys that are actually their same size and who are fast as them and who are strong as them. They're just average players, and so that's why you really can't keen too much on some of those stars, because they just sometimes they're not ranked right. Just how it is.
Yeah, the main 3-star player that stands out in my mind is DeAndre Baker. And that joker went the first round of the draft.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is how we ended up overall. Of course, Texas A&M took the number 1 class overall. Bama was number 2. We were number 3 overall. Then Missouri was number 4 in the SEC with a number 11 overall class, and then it kind of just tailors off after that. You see LSU, the number 5 in the SEC with the number 13 overall class. Kentucky, 15th overall. South Carolina, 17th overall, which kind of surprised me because you hear all this buzz coming out of South Carolina, how that Shane Beamer's changing things and he's recruiting up there, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he still didn't pull off a top 15 recruiting class. And then, of course, the dumpster fire that's also known as Auburn, number 18. And then this kind of surprised me right here with Sam Pittman with the number 21 overall class, with the 2 years of really seeing that program moving in the right direction. I would have expected to see a little bit better rated class come out of there. And then, of course, Tennessee's number 10 in the SEC 22 overall class. That's the one you guys better watch for. I'm telling you, he's fixing to tear it up with the recruiting. With the money they have up there, they're going to pour it into the NIL, and you're going to start seeing that program really turn it on here in the next couple of years. Ole Miss, number 11, 23rd overall class. Mississippi State, 29th overall. And then Vanderbilt, which was ahead of Tennessee at one point. They dropped down to the number 32 overall class. And in those lousy, stinking Gators, they were 50th going into yesterday, and they ended up with the number 33 overall class. So little kudos to Billy Napier for not for being able to pull something off there and make that happen. But
I find it amusing that Vanderbilt has had a better class than Florida.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, let's hear from Kirby, guys. I want to. What do you think? See what Kirby has to say about 3 stars.
Kirby, when you're recruiting guys, how much do you put into a guy's star? Whether people say he's a 3-star, whether people say he's a 3-star, 4-star, 2-star, stuff like that.
Zero.
Enough said about that.
For sure.
Enough said about that. Yeah. See, let's hit these comments real quick. John Akaki, only one of A&M's 7 5-stars ranked in the top 300 all-time 5-stars at Rivals. The same at Bama and UGA's Hall. Michael Williams, our highest-rated 22 signed, ranks in the top 10 ever signed at UGA. Yeah, we're definitely going to go over Mr. Williams here in just a minute, John, and talk a little bit about him, but I definitely wanted to throw that little video of Kirby. I saved that from earlier in the year because I thought it was hilarious. But I also want to throw one more video up here. It talks was a question about recruiting, and how the recruiting landscape has changed, and how that Kirby's been adapting to the changing NIL landscape. And I thought it was interesting, and just wanted to play that real quick.
Like, I can't say we changed from this year to last year. I just think it's subtle. And the way things are going, you're going to continue to do that. You have to look at your roster and say we need great players. We need great players. But we need enough core players believe in the values of the organization to outweigh any blinking lights. And sometimes a blinking light might be a talented player that doesn't completely all the way buy in, but you've got enough core players that the voice doesn't get heard, and I think that's, we had that last year. We had a really good group of core leaders. They also happen to be good players. That's when you get to win a national championship. But you got to be selective over going really far away from home. How big a portal risk is this kid? Is NIL so important to him that he's not going to be effective as a player? Because it's easy to sit here and say, what can I make NIL? How can you help me? Well, I can help you a whole lot more if you come out of college with a degree and you come out of college and get drafted. There are a lot more commas on those salaries than there are on NIL deals. And you have to be able to explain that to kids, and they have to understand it and buy into it, because a lot of kids come from a society of, I want now, me, self-gratification. And we really need team, long-term buy-in. Develop, be the best player you can when you leave. The hard part, Ronner, is figuring out which each kid is. Does he really buy into that, or is he just providing lip service? And that's where the tough decisions are made as a head coach and a position coach of which guys you take, because you don't really know until they get here sometimes.
I thought it was really, really telling on kind of what the staff has to go through to determine whether or not they want to make an offer to these guys. I mean, and I've heard Kirby say it over and over and over. It starts in 8th grade. I mean, it starts in 7th, 8th grade, where they're getting to know these kids and what these kids' mindsets are and what they're looking at. Are they looking at team? Are they looking at being developed? Or are they looking at the quick dough? And I think we saw some of that stuff transpire in the last couple of years, where we've had players that left the program. I mean, I think about Otis Reese and and so it's kind of kicked them in the butt, because they missed out on the natty. If they just hung in there and put in the work, they would be here. So anyway, well, listen, let's get into this. Let's get into the recruits. I know we're going to be squeezing down on time, and I want to make sure that I give ourselves plenty of time to talk about these guys, because I'm really excited about them. This is the first one. This is Andrew Paul. This is the kid out of Texas that Matt was talking about. You guys feel free to jump in here whenever you want. But as Matt was talking about, he rushed for 2,616 yards. He was averaging 201 yards per game.
It's like 9 yards a carry.
Yes. Yeah. He scored 41 touchdowns. 41 touchdowns. And like Matt said, I don't care if it was the Pee Wee League that he played in. That's impressive. And for all of you guys out there that was talking about 3 stars, that were like, well, why didn't this guy show up on the radar before now? Because he didn't go to any of the running back camps. None. Zero. Zilch.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those guys with natural born talent.
Yep. So I did a little history on this guy after it all went through. So his sophomore and junior year, he didn't have great years. He was right around 800 yards, 900 yards for those years. And instead of, like you're saying, Brian, instead of going to these camps and getting known on these little 7 versus 7 stuff and everything, the Joker went to actually a coaching development camp for running backs and worked on his craft. He said, I got to work harder and I got to be more efficient. I got to be a better player. And with that, you see the results. So we want people like that who are putting hard work in to be better, not just want to get seen and get noticed. And so that's what I loved about his story.
Yeah, I like his story too, and I like the fact that he comes from a military family. He's disciplined. He spends a lot of time in the weight room. All those things are good character traits of guys that we want on in our program. And I looked up his 100 time is 11.7 as a sophomore. I couldn't find any stats anywhere else. But to give you a little bit of comparison of someone that's been on our program in the past that we think really highly of, Noshawn Marino ran 11.5. And this guy right here, when you see his film that I'm about to play, he reminds me of Noshawn Marino. Let's see if it'll play for me. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I really love his vision. I love his footwork. I mean, he can cut with the best of them, man, and really makes guys miss. And then of course once he gets into open space, he's got that home run speed that really shows out. Let's see. I'm going to catch a few comments here before I forget about it. John Akaki says, we recruited the state of Florida better this year than most. We need to thank Dan Mullen big time. We signed like 7 players out of Florida. I totally agree with that. And then Sam Whitley says he's really high on Andrew Paul. Yeah, I am too, buddy. I am too. Well, the next guy is probably one of my favorites is Christian Miller. Anybody want to take him?
You can go ahead, Kevin, if you got to. I feel like I'm taking all the time up. I don't want to.
No, no, you're fine. So Christian Miller, 6'4", 294 pounds, defensive lineman out of Cedar Grove. He is highly sought after by Ohio State, and of course we were able to rake him in and keep him in the fold, which, from my understanding, he is one heck of a leader. And that's one thing that Kirby said in the press conference this week, was that he was really impressed with these new enrollees. His number one, they're on time, they put in the effort, and I really am impressed on how they treat people and how disciplined they are. And I've never heard him say that about a recruiting class before.
Yeah, Miller's going to be one of the things that really sustains our defensive line presence that we have to keep going. That's really what, I mean, if anything else was the one key factor that helped us throughout the year is that defensive line. And so we always hear about line play is always a big deal on both sides of the ball. But he's going to be a guy who and maybe not see a whole lot presence, coming out of the chute like one of those freshman studs that we see. But come sophomore year, you're going to know him just like you do, like Jalen Carter. It's going to be just like that same kind of presence. He'll be there, he'll be present, and he'll get those big calls on some guys.
Yep. Yeah, before I run this video, Terrence Edwards said that he thinks that this defensive line class that we signed is probably the best that Kirby's had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. He said that Terrence said that his brother, Robert Edwards, was coaching the All-American team, and said that Michael Williams and Marvin Jones were there for the All-American game and that they couldn't block them. They could not block them. And he's like, I don't know where Georgia found these guys, but they can't be blocked. So, well, here's Christian Miller's video. Let's roll it.
I want it out. Run it. Yeah. Run it. Run it, yeah. I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Hey. I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, ooh. Run it, yeah. Run it. I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Run it, hey. I want it out. Key. Put the bag in the goal, put it all on me. Said he want my time, but the time frame only from 9 to 3. Oh, yeah, I said that right. I'm the king, I'm the god that'll go OT, so I don't tell no lies. I deserve everything all they took from me, but the flow intoxicated. Most of y'all cartoons animated. I need all of my split like a segregation. Irrigation from the way created. I'm a living saying, relocated. Flights and chases while I'm at it staying. No, I catch the check, so you should see the statement. I'm the bank, but I'ma need the payment, so I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Hey. I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, ooh. Run it, yeah. Run it. I want it out. Run it, yeah. Run it, yeah. Run it, hey. I want it all. Send me the play. I want the smoke, hit the track like a train. I just want all of it, not just a part of it. I got no time for beginners and starter kids. I don't do drama, I got no time for arguments.
Yeah, it's a high motor kid, man. High motor. Just constant energy. If he could maintain that, he's going to be special.
For sure.
I think the thing that stood out with me with this kid was his attachment to his teammates, because
Very
that he's
Darius Smith is. Did you lose me?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. I was just saying one thing that stood out about Christian Miller is his attachment to his teammates, because when the signing day came, he sent out a message to them saying, "This isn't the end. This is only the beginning." And he said he loved all his brothers, and so I think that's going to carry over into UGA and just his aura, his mentality is going to fit right into what UGA is looking for.
Yep, absolutely. Well, this next guy is Darius Smith. He is out of Baxley, Georgia, 6'6", 225 pounds, outside linebacker. This is another one that Terrence Edwards talked about this morning. He said that he feels like Darius Smith is the Leonard Floyd 2.0.
I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, no doubt.
Speaking of someone playing the Super Bowl.
That's right. That's right. I don't think I had any highlight videos of Darius Smith, so let me just double check. Nope, I'm not seeing anything. I don't have anything pulled up on him. Did you guys have anything about Darius Smith that you wanted to cover?
So one of the things that I always remember coaches talking about when we were younger playing ball was that they always said you can't coach speed, right? You just have it or you don't. And that's one of the things about these guys like Smith here that we're going to have already implemented in their game is their speed. And so that's how we watched go back to the championship game. Alabama's best defensive player. But one thing that he has a speed, and that's hard. It's hard for those big offensive linemen sometimes to match that up when it comes to that kind of stuff, his speed. So his fast hands and his speed around the corner will benefit us in the long run.
Oh, I did have Darius Smith. I did. I found it. Let me get the screen pulled up, and I'll show you his video. I like how he doesn't give up on a play. He's real twitchy, and he doesn't give up. Even if he gets blocked out, he doesn't give up. He just keeps battling. So I like that.
I was gonna say, he was relentless.
Absolutely. Well, the next guy is Dylan Bell. Dylan is a wide receiver out of Houston, Texas, 6'2", 205 pounds. I think I do have some film on him. So I forgot to tell you, Dylan Bell's one of those guys that uses an athlete. He's one of those that you have that one player on your team that is your best athlete. Well, that's him, and they found ways to give him the ball. He played quarterback. He'd run out of the Wildcat, jet sweeps, you name it. He did it, and so they got the ball in his hand a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was amusing that one long bomb that kid just gave up trying to run him down.
Yep.
Just run in for a touchdown.
So the next guy is E.J. Lightsey. He's out of Fitzgerald. I know we had a lot of questions about him. Why would we make an offer to this guy? Well, when you see his tape, you realize that he has got a high motor as well. High motor, high energy, and he will definitely lay some hammers on some folks. So let's take a look at his film real quick. So he's another guy with a high motor, crashes down the ball, explodes to the ball. Really like the way that kid plays.
He's got great vision too. If you watch him, he doesn't over pursue. He waits and sees where the play is going before he makes his move, but he keeps it contained in front of him. He's got great vision of where the ball is going to.
Yep.
Very, very Tyndall-like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I did hear somebody compare. Which player you want to talk about next? Is that Branson Robinson?
That's fine.
Out of the earlier classes. I mean, out of the earlier recruiting group earlier in the year, the early signing day.
I mean, that's fine. My
fine.
main guy I want to talk about would be, well, eventually I think that you got him in there somewhere, is Stark. That's who I want to talk about.
Okay. Well, Branson Robinson is another running back that we have. He is a grown man. I mean, look at those darn arms, dude.
He looks like Holyfield.
Yeah. I was looking. I don't think I pulled up his video, but if you guys get an opportunity, pull his video up and watch it. It is impressive. Absolutely impressive.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
So this is the guy you want to talk about, Starks.
Yes.
Malachi Starks. Jump in there, my friend.
So with Starks he's one of those guys, like I think Brian alluded to a little bit when talking about Bell, he is a athlete for sure. And so this guy not only does he play everywhere all over the field on offense, but on defense as well. He plays safety, cornerback. He plays quarterback, wide receiver, and everything. So he plays it in running back and everything. So he plays like 5 positions for his team. He's one of our 5 stars. With that, becomes kind of a risk for us because we really don't know where he's going to play on the field. And that's what, to me, is also exciting. He alluded to earlier in the season that he was recruited to play defensive back, which would be great if that's what he ends up doing. But we got a really heavy defensive secondary class this year, so I really think that he may be moving to wide receiver because of our wide receiver depth and more star power and speed out there for us. So I think it's going to be really exciting to watch this guy if he does transition to wide receiver. We could be one of those. Everybody remembers Malcolm Mitchell, who came in as a defensive back and ended up being a very very solid wide receiver for us with a lot of energy and a lot of spark. And so I think this guy could do this. He's one of the guys who early on really committed to Georgia and has stuck with his commitment. And so I appreciate guys like that, especially high level, high profile guys. And so I think that to me the big thing looking for him will be coming to this spring game, seeing where he's going to be lining up at, where he'll be playing, and really seeing how they're going to utilize him. If it's going to be at wide receiver or they're going to keep him in the secondary. So that's the big thing I wanted to kind of open up you guys and see what you guys thought as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. John Akaki says he's a Champ Bailey type of player.
I like that.
Yep. Give me 11.
Watch some of his video here. So he had offers from Clemson and Alabama as well.
He gone.
Good Lord.
Good grief.
It's like you're watching a PlayStation game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's another one of those that's the best player on the team, obviously.
Yep.
What a route. Yeah, he's special, man. He is definitely special.
Sure.
Definitely special. The last one I had on my list here, and I did not want to not talk about this guy, is Michael Williams. He is a National High School player, Defensive Player of the Year out of Columbus. This kid right here is going to be special. And he was highly recruited, and I don't know how we ended up with him, but we still ended up with him, and I'm tickled to pink about it. And I got his video here, so we'll take a look, a few seconds here to roll that footage. Good deal. Good deal. Well, guys, that's all I had on my list of kids that I wanted to these guys I want to talk about. As far as our recruits, I think we overall, I mean, who could be upset with a number 3 recruiting class, right?
Yeah, you
Somebody.
really can't. Yeah, somebody is, because we
Some
didn't have
people
number
will.
1, but you can't downplay what Kirby and the staff have done.
Consistency is what we need. We had too many years with Rick where it was top 5 and then under below 15, then back top 5, and so you got these big waves of good and bad teams where we had that where one year our offense was amazing, our defense was average, and then our defense was awesome, but our offense was average, and so now you're seeing the fruit of being consistently top 5 is where both sides of the ball are awesome, and so that's what we just got to be happy with.
So, what's your thoughts on how you feel like the NIL has impacted the recruiting class this year?
I just gotta start saying it's trash. It's awful. In my opinion, I think it's going to hurt college football in the long run. I'm not sure how sustainable it's going to be, but I mean, there's money. There will always be a reason to keep it around. But we look at this recruiting itself. I mean, one of the most richest states in our country is Texas, and look at Texas A&M. How those jokers went from 0 5-stars to 7 after this thing all went down. So, I mean, is that a coincidence? I don't think so, because they didn't have a great year this year. So what are you telling me that's so tremendous about Texas A&M that wasn't there in the past? The same boring coaches there. So I don't understand. So, I mean, I think it has a big impact to it, but also shows, and like you said a little bit ago, how loyal are those guys going to be to your school and to those teams when they're there just for the money? It's going to be hard because you have the majority of the players who are in college football, especially Division I players, are from low economic areas in our country. And so they get a little bit of taste of money. They don't know how to deal with that. That's why their big drive is to get in and out in 3 years to get to the pros. That's their big drive, not an education or at least to be a part of it. So it's really hard to, it's going to be hard to compete with that across the board for all these schools because you have these kids who are going to hop at the chance to get some money to help pay some bills because they do have families who are struggling. They want to help take care of their grandmother or their mom or whoever it may be, the single parents out there who are struggling, like working 2 jobs, 3 jobs for these kids so they can have a good education even in public school. And so they're going to have a way to want to take care of their families, and they may take those opportunities.
Yep. Kevin, what do you think as far as NIL deals? Any NIL deals that come to mind that that did not have the return on investment that you think these folks thought they might at the beginning of the year?
Well, like I told you before this stream started, I got 2 that come to mind right off the top of my head. It was Uiagalelei and JT Daniels. Those 2 did not pan out. I guess to say hold up their end of the bargain, you might say, because Uiagalelei was touted to be one of the top quarterbacks in the nation, and to me and everybody else, he was a complete flop. And JT Daniels just couldn't stay healthy to hold up his end of the bargain. So I don't know what the deal was there, but he played 3 games. So all these companies coming in putting their money in there with essentially high school kids. These are not pro players. They have not set their roots. They have not established themselves in any shape, form, or fashion. They're going off of these stars and what somebody else has said that they are going to be. And they have not established themselves. They have not stepped out into the real world to show their abilities, to show what they're made of, to show their moxie, if you will. So I think it's bad for college football, and I think it's eventually, honestly, I feel like it's going to run its course. I think it's going to get out there. It's going to prove itself to be a futile attempt to try to make this like the pros. because it's not. These are kids. These are kids coming out of high school with no background to show for it, except for what they have in high school, and it's bad to say. You're kind of going through and disassembling what college football has been for years and years and years, and the pure enjoyment, because this is a football at its purest form before all money gets involved.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of fans like. This is pure love for the game. And these kids are not being neglected by these universities.
No.
These universities are taking care of these kids, they don't want for anything. If they need a pair of shoes, you go down to the locker room and get you a pair of shoes. If you need a pair of pants, go down to the locker room and get you a pair of pants. Whether it be University of Georgia, Texas A&M, Alabama, whatever, if it's got a G on it, you guarantee they're wearing it, and they can get it anytime they want it.
Oh yeah.
So it's just bad. People think that they're not getting their just rewards, but they are. I mean, they're getting taken care of, the full medical, whatever they need there. They're getting room, board, everything that they could possibly need. These kids don't want for a thing.
Yep.
Yeah. $200,000 education.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. John Akaki says there's no difference in the top three recruiting classes on the NIL. It remains to be seen how it shakes out. Look at Tate Ratledge and JT Daniels. They got deals and didn't play. Did they get paid? Oh yeah, they got paid.
I mean, if it's me, like if I'm Todd Gurley and AJ Green who got suspended for 4 games for selling their jerseys, I'm filing a lawsuit for get that time back, from that kind of crap. Because I mean, that's ridiculous. These guys come out of high school getting $1 million deals, and these guys sold their own property, and got 4 game suspensions for it. And that's some junk.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But the point is, look at Todd Gurley now.
Yeah.
Kid's got more money than me and you will ever see.
For real.
So I think Kirby hit that on the head. I mean, it's about the end game. It's not about what right now. And you got to be able to decipher who's going to be able to who you need to recruit. And if they're looking at the NIL deal right off the bat, that's probably not who we want anyway.
I agree.
Well, I'm going to touch on recruiting one more time here, and then we'll move on. Definitely want to spend some time talking about our schedule that's upcoming. John Akaki made a comment, and I think we've talked about it a little bit. He said, when will we be having the first annual Middle Georgia Dog Pound Barbecue or Chili or Wings Cook-Off National Championship celebration? It's a good idea.
Get together with you, John, for sure.
I'm down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we gotta make it happen. Gotta make it happen.
You name the time and place, John.
For real.
Yep.
I know somebody who could smoke some good stuff. I was like, that didn't sound right. That didn't sound right coming out of my mouth. Let's reverse that. Could smoke some good meat.
There you go. There you go. Old Troy. Get him fire that thing up. Well, I was going to talk about some other little stats here I wrote down earlier. 16 of the 5 stars this recruiting cycle were between Georgia, Bama, and A&M. 43 of the top 100 prospects signed with A&M, Alabama, or UGA in this recruiting cycle.
It's incredible.
It is. So in the last 4 recruiting cycles, Georgia has signed 18 5-stars. The rest of the SEC, 7.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. SEC East, excuse me. The rest of SEC East. The rest of the SEC East. So everybody in our division, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, they've only signed 7 5-stars in the last 4 recruiting cycles, and we signed 18. So that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes of what Kirby has built and his mentality about what he wants.
All right, guys. Way too early predictions. Let's talk about them. Here's our schedule. We got Oregon, the very first game. Samford at home. South Carolina at South Carolina. Kent State at home. Missouri in Columbia. Auburn at home. Vanderbilt at home. Of course, Florida and Jacksonville. Tennessee at home. Mississippi State and Starkville. Kentucky in Lexington. And then we've got the Maggots between the hedges at home.
Let me ask a quick question.
Go for it.
Why do we have Mississippi State again? We've already played the home and home with them over the last 3 years. Why do we have them back on our schedule, I wonder?
I don't know. I know some of it was the COVID scheduling is one of the reasons we played them. That was one of the issues, but I don't know.
I thought it would have been Alabama coming to our place this year because we did the Arkansas, we did the Mississippi State, we did the LSU. I thought this year was supposed to be the Alabama come to UGA year. I mean, I guess I'm wrong with that, but that's what I assumed.
I'm all confused when we threw that COVID year in there. It messed me all up. So
yeah,
I have no idea. I have no idea of why it's like that. But nonetheless, I think for me, the two games that concern me the most is it's probably going to be that Mississippi State game, and then I mean, I'm pretty sure that we'll be fine against Oregon out the gate because we have so many returning players that are coming back. I mean, nearly every one of our players that will be starting had significant playing time or started last year. And I can't remember. I wrote down the numbers on it at one point, but it was something crazy. Georgia has 17 players with significant playing time. That's the most in the SEC.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, it's going to be beneficial, too, because we're playing them in Atlanta, so it's only 2 hours away from, or an hour away from Athens, whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I think Mississippi State is going to be not because they're a great team. It's just we still do kind of struggle somewhat with the pass game. As some factors because we do hunker down on the run game so much, and even when we played them, back when JT had his first start, there in Starkville, it was Athens we played them last. That we still struggle with that passing game, and so I think we'll win the game. I don't think it's wrong, but it'll be one of those games where we may see someone score more than 10 points on us.
Yeah, and you always got to deal with those blasted cowbells when you go over there. Too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's at the end of the season anyway. This is the third game from the last. So by that time we'd be established and be clicking on all cylinders. So
yep.
I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, except for the stupid cowbells, like Brian said. I hate hearing them stupid things.
Another thing that really encourages me this year with this class is that 19 of these kids that we recruited that signed have enrolled already. 19.
Yep. It's awesome.
That's huge, guys. I mean, think about how the acclimation of college life and then going into learning, getting acclimated to the exercise regimen, the nutrition, juggling your schedules, all of that stuff. These kids are going to be able to pick up way ahead of everybody else that, all these other schools that may have their enrollees coming in the fall. So it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
John Akaki says Tennessee will be our toughest game, and it's at home.
It'd be a challenge. I can see that.
That's interesting. I think Tennessee is going to be the best team, the second best team in the SEC East. I really honestly believe that. I think that you guys, they're going to come on strong. I mean, they did last year, and that was his first year at the program. they're going to be one to watch out for. I'm not so sure about Mizzou. They're lacking the talent, and it showed this year really big.
Yeah.
I think he's too hung up in Star Wars.
Best thing with Tennessee, though, I mean, Tennessee was got their stuff together very in the middle and the end of the season, but that offense is eventually going to get itself sorted out, and people are going to figure out how to beat that offense, and so it won't be the flash in the pan that it was this year. People will figure it out and get it done.
Yeah, Tennessee. The thing I've said earlier is that if they don't figure out how to slow their pace down on their offense, they're never going to do anything. Because that high-paced, fast-tempo offense is not going to work in the SEC. It's just not, because you're going to burn out your offense and your defense, and by the end of the game, you're done. Yep. And we saw that time and time again, and I don't think he's going to change anything. I don't think Heupel is going to change it, and it's just going to be what it is. And Tennessee, they might jump out and make it look like it's going to be close at the beginning, 1, 2, 3, the first 3 quarters. By the fourth quarter, they're all burnt out, and you come back and just beat the brakes off of them.
Yep.
That's what Alabama did. That's what Georgia did.
Well, guys, we definitely need to get together, have a little bit of a celebration. I know John wanted to get together with us. We'll try to put a schedule together and make that happen, whether it be at Wild Wings or somewhere just to catch a drink or something and just hang out. Definitely would love to do that. Any final thoughts, Matt?
I guess we thought this is our way too early predictions. Do any of us going to make the prediction for undefeated season again next year? Is someone going to be bold enough, Mr. Whitehead, to make the prediction for an undefeated regular season?
It's going to be special. I tried to pull Kirby's video down where he talked about burning the boats and coming back. There's a lot of naysayers even on our site, and I don't know if you've seen them. And I don't want to call out any names because I can throw out a few right off the top of my head. Ray, that doesn't think that we're going to be able to repeat. And I just have to tell Ray that we've got all the talent in the world. And there is no lacking of talent on the defensive side and the offensive side of the ball that is going to cause us not to repeat. We'll be right back in this thing. We'll be at the SEC championship again, and we either win the SEC championship, or we'll lose it like we did this time, and we'll be right into the college football playoff again because I don't see us losing the game. Really don't.
Yeah, I mean, my major only question mark that I have, and we'll talk about this as we get to more episodes into the summer and the spring, is the middle linebacker situation. That's the only thing that I'm really gonna have a question mark with. Because what we've had in the past, we've had great middle linebackers with, just going back to Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith was there, and he helped mature and educate Monty Forrest, and then Monty was able to mature and educate Dean Forrest. But then now you got, Dean's gone and Tindall's gone, so you kind of have a gap there. So we're going to need some growing up fast in that area. We have some guys who play, but not to the caliber of those guys. But I think that'll be the question mark, but not something we can't overcome.
I totally agree. The thing I remember the most about last year's season is when we took our first string defense out, and it was the second string defense. There was no drop off, and so that's encouraging to me.
Very.
Kevin, you got any final thoughts, buddy?
One thing. Go look up this guy named Cole Spear. He's a wide receiver out of Calhoun, Georgia. Everybody, just go look him up. He's one of those 3-star players, but watch for him. Yeah, he's going to be something special. I'm just going to tell you.
McConkey, 3-star. A.D. Mitchell, 3-star.
Yep. Go look him up.
Special.
Cole Spear
A.D. Mitchell, Georgia. I'll say it right now. A.D. Mitchell is going to be the number 1 receiver next year. Yeah, go ahead and mark it down. He is going to be a stud.
Well, that was my guy all year long, so I agree with you.
Yep.
Another one of those guys who came in early last year, put the work in, and got plenty of playing time.
Yep.
Ever since you said it, Matt, I've gone back and looked at video, and he does look like Pickens.
Yep.
He's got such quick hands, man.
Yep.
Such quick hands. Well, guys, another great episode. Thankful so much for you guys. Thankful for our championship season that we had. Looking forward to the Dogs continuing this this route of owning the SEC, and we're going to be right back in this thing again at the end of the season, and we'll be back in the national championship hunt. So can't wait for it. We'll get together with you, John Akaki, and hang out. Y'all have a great evening, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.